For some, it's the very definition of fine art photography. For others, it's a relic of the past that should be confined to the pages of history. This week, we're talking about black and white photography. Now, I don't do an awful lot of black and white photography myself, so I'm far from an expert. That's why a couple of weeks ago, I asked you to send me your best tips. But before we get to that, let's take a look at some of the photographers on Instagram that have inspired me with their black and white images.
I did a lot of bad things, and never did I give in, just 'cause the thought of being vulnerable made me feel less than I am. I have never felt home till you entered my door.
I think we can all agree there are some absolutely fantastic images there. I've been following Arnaud and Tom for quite some time now, but Noel was actually a recommendation from fellow YouTube photographer Andrew Maguire. Nice one, Andy. Now, like I said, I am not an expert in black and white photography, but I know a man who is.
Hi Chris. So, black and white photography. My first tip is to go out with the intention of shooting black and white photography. We so often decide to convert an image to black and white in post-processing. So the first thing I recommend to do is to change your picture style on your camera to monochrome, and then when you're framing up for an image, just stick it on live view, and then you've got a decent idea of what works and what doesn't work. Secondly, you take away colour. What do you have? You've got your lines, shapes, textures, and you really want to include those into your frame. Look for contrast between the dark areas and the light areas. Choose interesting subjects such as trees with nicely formed branches, and look for a lighter background against a moody sky, for instance. Black and white photography evokes more of an emotion to me than colour photography. So add to that drama by putting on a 6-stop, or even better, a 10-stop, just to smooth out the water. This shot here of Cat's Eye Cam in the Lake District is just full of atmosphere and works so well in black and white. I waited for the light just to splash on the side of the mountain. You've got the added drama of the clouds as well. And I really went to work in post-processing, increasing the contrast and clarity. Take advantage of bad weather days, because remember, black and white photography is all about mood. And when you've got a day of overcast skies, and it just adds to that drama. And this also applies to colour photography, but keep your image nice and simple, free of any distractions. Make sure you fill the frame as well. And have fun. It's all about having fun. Back to you, Chris.
James Burns there, one of my best YouTube buddies. If you don't follow James, I suggest you head over to his channel and check him out, because he's one of the YouTube photographers whose videos I never ever miss. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you will know that my favourite photographer is Michael Kenner, and he shoots exclusively in black and white. So now let's take a look at some of my favourite of his images.
'Cause here in your arms I can finally let go. The rest of the world is outside when you make sure I'm all you
I wrote to Michael asking for his permission to use his images in this video, and if he had any tips on black and white photography. In his response, he pointed me to an article in his website from 2009 where he is quoted as saying, "I believe black and white is immediately more mysterious because we see in colour all the time. It is also more subjective. I think it's quieter and calmer than colour." What do you make of Michael's observation that black and white is more mysterious than colour? Let me know by leaving a comment below. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Michael for allowing me to use his images in this video and for his inspiration generally. If you want to see more of Michael's work, head over to his website, which is www.michaelkenner.net. So without further ado, let's get on to the tips that you've sent to me. So the first comes from Chase Hirt, and Chase writes, "A black and white mountain photo such as this shows the crisp details of the peak and the grandeur of the sky without the potential distraction of colour." Here's Chase's shot. Next comes Kevin Gilbert. Now Kevin is a huge supporter of the channel. Hello Kevin. And Kevin writes, "I try to use light and shadow to bring out texture and features in the image. I also use the contrasting tones to create a leading line of white breakers and the wet black pebbles." Check out Kevin's photo. Our third tip comes from Philip Culbertson. "When faced with bright, harsh light, consider compositions that emphasise texture and shape." Here's Philip's image. Next up is fellow YouTube photographer and a mate of mine, Sam Bose. And Sam writes, "Try and find scenes that offer a high level of contrast and use a polarizer to enhance that contrast. This is a technique that Ansel Adams used to good effect." This is Sam's shot. And last but not least, this from Lewis Hanson. "Black and white goes hand in hand with long exposures." Here's Lewis's shot. Thank you to everyone who wrote in with tips. I'm sorry I couldn't feature all of them. I'm now going to go and put them into practice and see if I can get some black and white photographs of my own. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the mist has rolled in behind me, and so for once, conditions might be in my favour.
All the things we've been through, everything that's been you, there isn't anything else that I wish I had done to be true. Yeah, that's the thing about you.
had an absolutely fantastic time this morning. I don't know why I haven't done more black and white photography before. Anyway, here are the best images that I've taken today. Let me know which one you like the most. And please, just this once, just for me, can you try and use the right titles? That's just about it for me for this week, but before I go, I just want to say a huge thank you to James, to Michael, and to everybody who sent in their tips. I could not have made this video without you. Thanks ever so much for watching, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week.